For most Americans, the history of acupuncture starts in 1971, when Secretary of State Henry Kissinger traveled to China accompanied by a journalist for the New York Times. The reporter, named James Reston, was treated for acute appendicitis. After emergency surgery, Reston received acupuncture treatments. He was so amazed at its positive benefits that he wrote about his experience. This article is widely regarded as the first introduction of Chinese medicine to the American public. However, traditional Chinese medicine originated in ancient China well over 2,000 years ago. Many of the world's countries experienced major health transitions over the course of the 19th and 20th century, influenced by medical discoveries, such as anesthesia and germ theory. China is no exception, but its passage has been distinctive in many ways since well-established Chinese medicine was already widely used when a new medicine came from the West. Beginning with the arrival of Robert Morrison in 1807, thousands of foreign Protestant missionaries lived in China to spread Christianity, establish schools, and work as medical missionaries. From 50 missionaries in China in 1860, the number grew to 2,500 in 1900. Western medical missionaries were opening dispensaries and tiny hospitals of a few beds each, but most of the general population was wary of foreign drugs and suspicious of the motives of the medical missionaries. The missionary example did not lead to the general acceptance of the new medicine from the West. In the early stage, medical missionaries had to face significant barriers. One of the early barriers was the Yangzhou riot.
Catholic missionaries usually had this practice of building orphanages in China, and they would take into babies into the orphanage. Sometimes they would take dying babies and baptize those babies before they died. But for the Chinese, many people thought the babies were killed inside the church compound.
Rumors followed that the foreigners were stealing babies and killing them to make medicine. The riot that resulted was an angry crowd of Chinese, estimated at 8,000 to 10,000, who attacked the missionaries. No one was killed, however, several of the missionaries were injured. Even though the riot did not directly target the medical missionaries, most of the medical missionaries were forced to flee for their lives. The Boxer Rebellion, however, was the worst disaster in missionary history in China.
So this German-related missionary case first occurred in 1899, at first at a village level, again as a communal conflict where there were also lots of these misunderstandings between German missionaries and the Chinese. So once there was conflict, the German missionaries would be protected by the local government and by the law. Local people believe that they could fight against the foreign missionaries by supernatural techniques, martial arts techniques.
The Qing dynasty took the side of the Boxers, blaming the economic hardship on the foreigners. By 1899, the slogan of the Boxers was, "Support the Qing, destroy the foreign." 189 Protestant missionaries, including 53 children, were killed by Boxers in northern China. An estimated 2,000 Protestant Chinese Christians were also killed. Many medical missionaries and physicians had to flee to Japan. While Western medical missionaries had to endure cultural and political challenges and barriers in the late 19th century China, traditional Chinese medicine had to face its own hardship in the 20th century. After the First World War, when the victorious Allies refused to restore Germany's Chinese territories to China, awarding them instead to Japan in 1919, a whole generation of Chinese blamed their culture and its inward-looking focus for China's weakness. To this generation, the concepts underlying Chinese medicine, yin and yang, and belief in cosmic resonance between heaven, earth, and humankind, had to be expunged from the consciousness of modern Chinese citizens so that a new, strong nation could be created. It promoted science, democracy, and a commitment to racial improvement through eugenics and physical education. In 1928, the National Party finally terminated the political chaos of the warlord period and formed a new government for China. As healthcare came to be accepted as an important part of the government's modernizing ambitions, the Nationalist Party established the Ministry of Health. In the next year, the first National Health Conference, which was dominated by practitioners of Western medicine, unanimously passed a proposal to abolish old medicine in order to remove obstacles to medicine and hygiene.
According to the proposal, traditional practitioners were not allowed to organize schools, advertise in the papers, or spread propaganda through traditional medical associations for the promotion of traditional medicine. Since traditional doctors would run out of legal ways to train the next generation, the ultimate goal of the proposal clearly was the abolition of Chinese medicine.
To the great surprise of almost everyone concerned, this resolution mobilized the previously unorganized practitioners of Chinese medicine into a massive national medicine movement. Practitioners of Chinese medicine in Shanghai organized a national assembly starting in 1929. Facing the threat of abolition, 262 delegates representing 131 organizations attended a 3-day convention in Shanghai. More than 2,000 practitioners of Chinese medicine closed their clinics for half a day to support this demonstration. To consolidate this alliance, a new organization was created, called the National Federation of Medical and Pharmaceutical Associations. Within 3 years, the number of member associations increased from 242 to 518, including affiliates in Hong Kong, the Philippines, and Singapore. Finally, the National Party Congress passed a resolution demanding equal treatment for Chinese and Western medicine in 1935, which was a huge victory to the Chinese medicine practitioners. In October of 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the establishment of the People's Republic. He declared Chinese medicine to be a great treasure house and demanded the principle of paying equal attention to Chinese and Western medicine. The new slogan, Unified Chinese and Western Medicine, allowed the sizable manpower of the Chinese medicine sector, estimated at around 300,000 practitioners, to be recruited into the official healthcare system. However, not long after, traditional Chinese medicine had to face yet another devastating barrier during Mao Zedong's Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1977. Frustrated with the manner in which old social practices and habits continued to undermine China's movement toward socialism, Mao unleashed the power of youth in a struggle against the four olds: old ideas, old culture, old customs, and old habits. Much of Chinese medicine's infrastructure, ancient texts as well as modern institutions, were destroyed in a short-lived frenzy of violence. The Chinese medicine sector rapidly contracted, even below its pre-1949 levels.
Renowned physicians under the direct supervision of the party were now branded forces of evil, subjected to torture and abuse. Some were killed, others committed suicide or died as a result of physical and emotional trauma. This violent phase of the Cultural Revolution lasted until Mao Zedong's death in 1976.
Finally, in 1980, the Ministry of Health committed itself to the so-called Three Paths policy, which stated Chinese medicine, Western medicine, and integrated Chinese and Western medicine constitute three great powers, which all need to be developed and which will coexist for a long time. The term combined medicine generally refers to both Western medicine and Chinese medicine practicing under the same roof, complementing each other for their patients' care. The most famous example of combined medicine is the use of acupuncture and analgesia for major internal operations during the Cultural Revolution. In recent years, the institutionalization of combined medicine has continued, and it is reflected in the establishment of hospitals of combined medicine in major cities. Both Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine had to face their own cultural and political barriers over the course of 2 centuries. However, they endured and overcame the challenges and finally found a way to cooperate and complement each other. Both medicines can benefit from each other by sharing knowledge and experiences, thus benefiting the whole Chinese population ultimately.